Great to meet you. I want to ask you, what inspired you to tell this story in
Sure. What outlet are you?
the Nocturnal?
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Awesome. What inspired?
Yeah.
So I heard about the competition, the Maestra competition, which takes place every 2 years in Paris. It's put on by the Paris Philharmonic. This is the second year, so it's a new competition, and it's just for women who are orchestral conductors to lift them up in this space. So when I heard about it, it's a competition. People love competition docs. That's number one. Number two, it's about women inhabiting spaces that have been the platforms for men historically. And that is interesting. And then it's this magical world of orchestral conducting, a world that most people don't know anything about. So it's peering behind the curtain. So it was a nice alchemy of something that I am excited to put on screen.
Yeah. What would you say, because the documentary follows several subjects, what was that like balancing everyone's narrative while also keeping a cohesive story?
That is a great question. One of the hardest parts about making this doc, and we all know docs come together in the edit, the first 25 minutes is the first act, and we had to introduce people to the characters, teach people a little bit about conducting, because most people don't know. So once they were able to learn a bit about the art form, that carries them through to the competition, and they're able to help decide who do they like, who's doing well, who's not doing so well. So that was a big challenge, because we also wanted to make sure people fell in love with these characters before they went to the competition, fell in love with our amazing subjects, these amazing women who this film is to, and this film exists to lift them up. So there's a lot that we had to achieve in 25 minutes before getting into the actual competition.
My last question for you is, what do you think are some misconceptions that people may have of women conducting that are going to be debunked in this documentary?
When you think of conductor, the average person is going to think of an older Caucasian gentleman with crazy hair who's very authoritarian. That's the picture we've been painted. That's what Disney and Warner Brothers has painted for us. So not only are women having to inhabit these spaces, but they're also having to tear down these stereotypes. So it's a lot of work for these women in this very, very niche job.
Nice to meet you. How are you feeling?
So excited.
Yeah.
And great honor, that's amazing. It's better than getting married.
I would love to know first if you could talk a little bit about your journey as a conductor and what led you to participate in this competition in the first place.
Yeah, I became in love with that job of conducting when I was a teenager, and all of my life I've been driving to that, but as you know, there were no women models for me, but I pushed, practice and things, and then that competition opened for women only with no age limits, and I was like, wow, that's fantastic, let's go for it. I just want to give it a chance.
And what was it like sharing such an intimate, aspect of your life on camera, on screen? What does that feel like?
The team is so talented that after a while you forget there is a camera, and they know how to make you comfortable, and it's a lot of very intimate moments that I'm sharing, but I'm happy to be helping others, because I know I'm not the only one going through those things, and if I can be an inspiration or a model for other people to know they're not alone and to lift up each other's, that's really, really meaningful for me, and I'm happy to do that.
Obviously, it is a competition at the end of the day, but can you talk a little bit about maybe the bonds you may have formed with the other women?
Yeah, that was probably the best part of the competition, because we would be all the time together at restaurants or in the rooms, chatting, getting to know each other from different countries, different experiences, but yet a lot of similarities. And also having the movie team with us, the bonds are so solid, and we're going to be always communicating.
My last question is going to be, what would you say is going to surprise people the most after watching this film, this documentary?
I think they're going to like to see how universal this film is, and not only for musicians, not only for conductors, but just for human beings, for women. And I think it's really strong story, very emotional, and great pace to it.
I'm Deborah.
Nice
Hi,
to meet you. I love your outfit.
Thank
By
you.
the way. Wow, so stylish.
Altazura.
Love it. I want to know, how does it feel to be a part of first of all, an all-woman competition, and this is like, I think it's the second year that it happened. What is that like?
Well, we had a great time. There's a lot of camaraderie. Everybody was a winner. But you know what I hope for the future? There doesn't have to be an all-women competition or an all-woman competition. Women should be making it with men. It should be absolutely equal. And this is to right the wrongs of many years. So it was great. We had a great time. It was run beautifully, so there were no losers. There were winners, but nobody lost. And, in the future, I would like to have just conductors, not women and men, because women are every bit as good as men conductors.
And that's something that I would love to ask you about is obviously it is a competition, but can you talk a little bit about the bonds that were formed amongst the women throughout this process?
Well, they became, I think, very close to each other. We stay away from them in the jury because we're not really allowed. We don't want to be influenced really by do we like them as a person. We have to judge them on their skills. Are they a great conductor? Or do they inspire the orchestra? Do they understand the music? And that's what we have to do. So we kept ourselves a little separate, frankly. We do some coaching with them afterwards, but not till afterwards.
In the span of your career, what would you say is maybe one of the most monumental changes that you've seen in the space of conducting?
Well, I'm the president of the New York Philharmonic. Our orchestra is now more than half women. And in the old days, when it was all men, they would give the women a horrible time who got on the podium. Now, nobody thinks about it. So that is a monumental change. And people are now used to seeing women conductors.